Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. 2611 mastermind Tahawwur Rana extradited from US for his role in deadly Mumbai attack. To land in Delhi shortly, multi-agency team to interrogate Rana. President Droupadi Murmu addresses Slovakia India Business Forum, says India committed to enhancing trade relations with Slovakia. Another turnaround by President Trump unveils 90-day pause on tariffs for most countries. EU pauses countermeasures against US tariffs. Coalition of the Willing meets at NATO headquarters to discuss plans to deploy troops to Ukraine. US says won't participate. Tahawwur Rana, accused of masterminding the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks, has been extradited from the United States and is expected to arrive in India on Thursday, accompanied by a special team of intelligence and NIA officials. The extradition comes after the US Supreme Court recently rejected Tahawwur Rana's last appeal, essentially clearing the way for his handover to Indian authorities. Rana, a Pakistani-origin Canadian businessman, is known to have been an active operative of the terror outfit Lashkar-e-Toiba and played a pivotal role in facilitating travel documents for David Coleman Headley. Tahawwur Rana and David Headley were detained by the FBI at the Chicago airport in October 2009.
लोगों ने भी भारत की जमीन, भारत का सम्मान और भारत के नागरिकों के साथ दुर्व्यवहार भी किया है, वो हमारे कानून के जद में लाना चाहिए। और मैं मानता हूं तब राणा की यहाँ वापिस आना ये मोदी सरकार की कूटनीति का बहुत बड़ी सफलता है, क्योंकि जिनके समय में जब बम धमाके हुए वो तो ला नहीं पाए, मगर आज वो वापिस आएगा, हमारी अदालत के सामने पेश होगा, हमारे संविधान के तहत उसको सजा होगी। ये देश के लिए बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि है।
The Indian government has appointed Advocate Narendra Mann as Special Public Prosecutor for the National Investigation Agency (NIA) in the 2611 Mumbai terror attack. Narendra Mann will represent the NIA in special courts and appellate courts in Delhi. The appointment is made for a period of 3 years or till the completion of the trial, or whichever is earlier. So, who is Tahawwur Rana? What is the case against him? Let's take a look.
Tahawwur Rana holds Canadian citizenship and has Pakistani origins. He faces charges in India for his involvement in the 2008 Mumbai attacks and was found guilty in the US for aiding Lashkar-e-Taiba. India is seeking his extradition for his role in the 2611 attacks. Rana assisted David Headley, a co-conspirator in the attack, who held US citizenship and Pakistani heritage. Rana provided Headley with false credentials to help him scout targets for the attack. In January this year, the US Supreme Court rejected Tahawwur Rana's petition, and that was quickly followed up by Senator Rubio authorizing Rana's extradition in February. Later on, US President Donald Trump announced the extradition of Tahawwur Rana to India, adding that he would face justice. He made the announcement during a joint press conference with Prime Minister Narendra Modi following their bilateral meeting. Rana's defense filed for more documents on February 13. On February 19, the court denied his request to delay the extradition. Again, the Ninth Circuit rejected his appeal on February 21. Rana filed an emergency request with the US Supreme Court within a week, which was also rejected on March 5, 2025. And on April 7, the US Supreme Court again rejected his plea for a stay on his extradition to India.
All right, joining me live is DD India correspondent Vishal Baristo from New Delhi and also Shishir Selar from Mumbai. Welcome both of you gentlemen. Vishal, to you first. Tahawwur Rana is to be extradited today. What is the update that you are getting for us, and where are you?
A very good evening to you, Siddharth. A long wait of 17 years is now finally over, and in another hour we are expecting Tahawwur Rana to land here at the Palam Air Force Station. You can see Palam Air Force Station just behind me is the gate.
Yeah, I can
From
see
here
that.
he would be taken in NIA custody.
Okay, and what other updates related to the extradition is what you're getting for us, Vishal, from there, from Palam Airport, where you are standing? How's the security arrangements in and around the airport?
Well, the security has been beefed up in and around the airport. In fact, Delhi police officials have been manning the area since early morning. I was here for 8 o'clock live bulletin, and since then I've been watching them in and out of the airport. They are keeping a close eye, and also the SWAT team, which is the special weapon and tactical team, the commando unit of the Delhi police, would also be here. First, he would be medically examined, and then he would be taken to the court, where the NIA would ask for his judicial, for his police custody, I beg your pardon. And then there are a number of agencies waiting to interrogate him. That involves the Intelligence Bureau, the RAW, which are the elite investigating agencies of India, along with CBI. So a lot of questioning needs to be done, and a lot of things to be extracted from Rana, and we have been waiting here since morning, but another hour to go before he finally lands here in Delhi. So a long wait of 17 years, as you heard the authorities saying. It's a big victory for India, and definitely a big victory as far as the diplomatic efforts were concerned.
Okay, all right.
So definitely all those who died in the attack, 166 people lost their lives, they would be given justice with the punishment of Tahawwur Rana.
Indeed, Vishal, I completely agree with you that this is a big win for India. We just heard our Honorable Home Minister saying this particular thing, that extradition of Tahawwur Rana from the United States to India itself shows the very fact that, you know, the centre's commitment towards countering terrorism, and apart from the very fact that it is a very, very big win for India. Again, I would like to say this, and I would second you, Vishal. We also have Shishir Sela joining us from Mumbai. Shishir, hi, a very good evening to you. This horrific incident took place in the year 2008, and everyone knows what the scenario was in and around the place where this heinous act of terrorism took place. Would you like to tell us about a little background of this particular incident and a connection between Headley and Tahawwur Rana?
Well, absolutely. Well, the 26/11 terror attack was an indelible scar on most of the Mumbaikars, and of course in the people of this country here, because the country has never seen such a kind of heinous terrorism activities or cowardly attack in the country. And probably this particular attack is also, we can say, that happened in a very different way here. The sea route was actually used for this. The terrorists came via sea route from Pakistan and entered in Mumbai, and then was distributed in different teams, and they've carried out attack at various locations in Mumbai. These locations are actually highly crowded locations here, be it the CSTM railway station or probably Leopold Cafe, Hotel Trident. At the same time, we have seen that some of the terrorists have also attacked near the Nariman house, that is the Jewish community center. So these are very high populated areas of South Mumbai, and probably the terrorists must be knowing quite well these areas, and that's the reason they have carried out such an accurate attack. Well, the reason is that how the terrorists got to know about this particular areas, and these are the the places about this.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason the two people come in picture. The first is, of course, the Tahawwur Rana and the David Coldwell Headley. Tahawwur Rana is now the key conspirator behind it, who's actually given all the information, who carried out Reiki with the help of David Coleman Headley.
Right.
David Coleman Headley is a person who
you.
actually seen all those places and given the blueprint to all the terrorists.
Okay, I'll get back to you. We also have Amritpal Singh joining us from outside the NIA headquarters. Amrit, to begin with, I would like to ask you that when this horrific incident took place, you were here and you were covering it extensively. Could you recount some memories from that time?
The initial reports that came at that time, I remember I had just finished an anchoring shift there in the studio, and the initial reports that came in were that there's some sort of a gang war that has broken out, because at that time, gangs used to be active in Mumbai. So there is a shootout, but then as more details emerged, it became clear that it's a terrorist attack. And slowly, it became clear that at multiple locations, at 4 locations, 2 luxury hotels, 2 other locations, there was a coordinated terrorist attack going on at a railway station, at the CST railway station, at the Nariman house, at Hotel Taj. These terrorists had gotten inside, and they had taken people hostage, and they were indiscriminately killing. First, the responders were, of course, the Mumbai police. Then I remember from Delhi at that time, the NSG had flown down, the National Security Guard had flown down because they were the premier anti-terrorist terrorism organization at that time. So the NSG flew from its headquarters here at Palam. After that, they realized the need for creating NSD hubs in different parts of the country, because that took time for them to reach. Of course, there was a lot of mishandling that happened at that time. TV cameras were reporting live. We later got to know that Pakistani handlers sitting in the control room, Major Samir and Major Iqbal of the Pakistan ISI, were watching television footage and coordinating, in touch with the terrorists on satellite phones, telling them where to move. So all that happened, and that's how it all played out. It was a 60-hour-long ordeal which played out, resulted in the death of 166 people, over 200 hurt, injured, people from multiple nationalities. So that's how the bloodbath played out on the streets of Mumbai.
Okay. Vishal Baristo, Amritpal Singh and Shishir Selar, thank you so much for joining in as of now, but we'll keep taking you on air as and when the extradition process will take place further. Thank you so much as of now. Moving on, in sharp policy shift, President Trump has paused new tariffs for 90 days but hiked duties on Chinese imports to 125%. China hit back with an 84% levy. Global leaders see hope for talks, but experts warn of rising risks across Asia.
In a dramatic policy reversal, US President Donald Trump has hit pause on new tariffs for 90 days. But not without a punch. Tariffs on Chinese imports are shooting up immediately to a staggering 125%. Meanwhile, the baseline 10% tariffs on most other countries introduced on April 5 will remain during the 90-day pause.
I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate, because I told them if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate. China wants to make a deal. They just don't know how quite to go about it. It's one of those things they don't know how quite. They're proud people. And President Xi's a proud man. I know him very well, and they don't know quite how to go about it.
China wasted no time in retaliating, announcing an 84% levy on US goods starting April 10.
In a trade war with the United States, the US will definitely not be able to defeat China. China's manufacturing is well-rounded. Moreover, Trump seems to be making enemies all over the world.
The US has started to increase tariffs again, but China is not afraid and will respond.
In Hong Kong, residents voiced worry that tensions might spiral beyond reason.
When they increased the tariff to 54%, it was already very detrimental. Increasing it further is totally useless.
I suspect it will eventually end up being a compromise, because otherwise it's just going to be ridiculous. The amount of trade that's going to lose out, the amount of people they're going to lose.
Despite the pause, tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods set at 25% are still firmly in place. Still, world leaders from Europe, Japan and Vietnam are calling this an opportunity for dialogue.
Nobody wins a trade war. Everybody loses. For this, the measure announced by the US administration Pending review of the exact details seems like an open door for negotiation and as such to an agreement between countries.
I think we'll have time as we would have to queue up like many other countries for negotiations. So we will make sure that we tighten up our plans to make them better, and we have plans to negotiate on every front.
But the threat of economic fallout remains. Experts warn of job losses, unrest, and possible recession across Asia.
Massive unemployment because of this policy, because of the tariffs, then I think it's a real possibility. But it also depends on how the government respond.
Trump's pause excludes earlier tariffs like the 25% duties on steel, aluminium, and autos, already shaking markets. As the world holds its breath, all eyes are on what the next 90 days will bring. Tripti Tripathi for DD India.
Meanwhile, reacting to President Trump's U-turn on massive duties, EU chief Ursula von der Leyen said on Thursday that bloc will suspend a planned package of tariffs on US goods. On X, she wrote that she wants to give negotiations a chance, while finalizing the adoption of EU countermeasures that saw strong support from our member states. She added that bloc will put them on hold for 90 days. She added that if negotiations are not satisfactory, then countermeasures will kick in. She added that preparatory work on further countermeasures continues. All options remain on the table. India's Minister of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, has welcomed the decision of US President Donald Trump on giving 90 days relief on tariffs to India.
भारत तो बहुत समझदारी से इस पूरे विषय को पहले से संभाल रही है। प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी और प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप ने फरवरी में ही निर्णय ले लिया था कि हम आपसी संबंध बढ़ाते हुए बायलैटरल ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट एक ऐसा करार करेंगे जो भारत और यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स के बीच व्यापार को सरल भी करेगा, 500 बिलियन तक यानी आज से 2.5 गुना बढ़ाने का काम भी करेगा। देशवासियों को नौकरी के और अधिक साधन मिलेंगे, देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को और बल मिलेगा। तो मैं समझता हूँ भारत तो वैसे भी इस रेस में आगे था और हमारी बातचीत बहुत अच्छी प्रोग्रेस की।
Still to come on DD India Newshour. US and Russia swore prisoners as US-Russian officials hold talks in Istanbul. South Korea opposition leader announces bid for presidency.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. Defence ministers from 30 countries in the Franco-British-led coalition of the willing are meeting at NATO headquarters on Thursday to discuss proposals for a reassurance force in Ukraine to ensure a post-conflict peace deal. US President Donald Trump's administration, which announced on Wednesday a 90-day pause on many of his new duties while raising its tariff rate for China, has vowed it will not join the coalition and will not participate in the meeting. The talks come as efforts by the US to force Russia and Ukraine into peace deal are losing steam. European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen met Ukrainian Prime Minister in Brussels on Thursday on the sidelines of a meeting of Kyiv's allies being held at NATO. US and Russian delegations to meet in Istanbul on Thursday to discuss the restoration of normal diplomatic operations as tensions remain high following the Ukraine conflict. The talks are led by Russia's new ambassador to Washington, Alexander Darchev, and US Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, Sonata Kulta. Both sides aim to address issues that have strained diplomatic ties in recent years, such as delayed visa approvals, restricted movement of diplomats, and frozen diplomatic assets. Russia also cited difficulties in paying its diplomats due to Western sanctions, while US officials have reported cases of harassment and limited access in Russia. The United States carried out a prisoner swap with Russia on Thursday in Abu Dhabi. The swap involved Russia releasing Ksenia Karelina, a US-Russian dual national who was sentenced last year to 12 years in a penal colony in exchange for the US freeing Arthur Petrov, a dual German-Russian citizen arrested in Cyprus in 2023. The prisoner swap was then second between Moscow and Washington since US President Donald Trump took office. The next round of Ukraine-US talks over minerals deal will likely begin this Friday in Washington. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Wednesday that the talks would focus on technical aspects and foundations of future agreement. Zelensky added that the minerals deal with the US should be profitable for both sides and could be structured in a way that would help modernize Ukraine. He informed that the Ukraine's delegation would be headed by a deputy economy minister. Ukrainian President Zelensky has said that Ukrainian intelligence had information about 155 Chinese citizens fighting for the Russian military against Ukraine. He spoke to reporters after the capture of 2 Chinese nationals in eastern Ukraine, where Russian troops have been advancing. He hoped for involvement of United States over the battlefield deployment of Chinese citizens. On Wednesday, Moscow and Beijing dismissed Zelensky's comments as groundless. The Kremlin said that Beijing has a balanced position, while China warned Ukraine against making irresponsible remarks. US President Donald Trump on Wednesday reiterated threat to use military force if Iran does not agree to nuclear deal. Trump's statement came just days ahead of reported talks between the two countries. And talking to reporters, Trump added that Israel would be the leader of a military option.
But with Iran, if it requires military, we're going to have military. Israel will obviously be very much involved in that. He'll be the leader of that. But nobody leads us. We do what we want to do.
Run out on the talks.
That's because when the election was rigged, I figured they'd get the weapon because
the US has acknowledged Panama's sovereignty over the Panama Canal, with US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stating that protecting Panamanian sovereignty from malign influence is crucial. This recognition comes amid heightened tensions over Chinese influence in the region. During Hegseth's visit to Panama, the two nations announced plans to deepen military cooperation, including joint training exercises. However, Panama rejected the US proposal for a permanent military presence, with Minister for Public Security Frank Abrego emphasizing that Panama will not allow permanent US military bases. The joint statement released by the US and Panama had discrepancies in the English and Spanish versions, with the Spanish version explicitly recognizing Panama's sovereignty over the canal. Despite this, Hegseth assured that the US understands the canal is in Panama and will partner with the country to secure it.
El señor secretario Hegseth.
Secretary Hegseth, in the meeting we had in private, recognized the sovereignty of Panama over the Panama Canal and recognized they must respect the neutrality treaty and our country's constitution. The same way we respect the US constitution and laws when we start any negotiation.
Tipo de negociación.
We certainly understand that the Panama Canal is in Panama, and protecting Panamanian sovereignty from malign influence is important, which is why when President Trump says we're taking back the Panama Canal from Chinese influence, that involves partnership with the United States and Panama. And we're grateful that they've welcomed U.S. troops on Panamanian soil. by invitation through rotational joint exercises, and that's what you'll see in the Memorandum of Understanding, is an opportunity to revive, whether it's the military base, naval air station, locations where U.S. troops can work with Panamanian troops to enhance capabilities.
Updates now from South Korea, where opposition leader Lee Jae-myung has declared his bid for the June 3rd presidential election. Lee Jae-myung is the front-runner in the opinion polls to be the country's next leader. The elections will be held after former President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment stemming from a December martial law declaration was upheld on April. Lee lost by the slimmest margin in the country's history when he ran against Yoon in the 2022 presidential election. But last year, he led his Liberal Democratic Party to a landslide victory in a parliamentary election and enjoys strong support from Liberal voters.
I want to build a real Republic of Korea, not just a country that only carries the name Republic of Korea, but a real Republic of Korea. And it is created by people of the Republic of Korea. I hope to become a great tool, the best tool of our people of the Republic of Korea.
Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. A space probe is preparing for launch into Earth's orbit this month to map the carbon content of tropical forests in some of the world's most remote areas. A new radar scanner will be attached to the biomass space probe, and after its planned launch on April 29 will orbit the Earth for several years, collecting data on the densest rainforests across Africa, Asia and South America. Hundreds of Tunisians gathered to protest against President Kais Saied, accusing him of authoritarianism and demanding the release of political prisoners. Meanwhile, 6 detained opposition leaders initiated a hunger strike, underscoring concerns over Saied's alleged suppression of dissent and consolidation of power. During his visit to Rome, King Charles engaged with representatives from the Circular Bioeconomy Alliance to discuss their initiatives on biodiversity, climate change and human health. In a symbolic gesture, His Majesty planted a tree in the gardens of Via Volkonsky. And still to come on DD India Newshour. India, UK continuing negotiations towards FTA. Several parts of India received rainfall in the wee hours of Thursday. You're watching DD India Newshour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj, and a quick recap of headlines. 2611 mastermind Tahawwur Rana extradited from US for his role in deadly Mumbai attack to land in Delhi shortly. Multi-agency team to interrogate Rana. President Droupadi Murmu addresses Slovakia-India Business Forum, says India committed to enhancing trade relations with Slovakia. Another turnaround by President Trump, unveils 90-day pause on tariffs for most countries. EU pauses countermeasures against US tariffs. President Droupadi Murmu, who is in Slovakia on a state visit, attended the India-Slovak Business Forum on Thursday. In her speech, the president said that the forum serves as an excellent platform to explore synergies and build mutually beneficial partnerships. Further, she noted that India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world and Slovakia with its strong industrial base and strategic location in Europe, presents great opportunities for deeper trade and investment ties.
India is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. Our expectation is to become a $5 trillion economy in the coming years, and we hope to do it in partnership with our friends such as Slovakia. India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and Slovakia, with its strong industrial base and strategic location in Europe, presents great opportunities for deeper trade and investment ties. As a key member of the European Union and a hub for automotive, defense, and high-tech industries, Slovakia stands to benefit from India's vast consumer market, skilled workforce, and thriving startup ecosystem.
Earlier, President Droupadi Murmu, along with over 100 Slovak children, watched a special puppet show based on Ramayana. The show was performed by the Babadlo Puppet Theatre, which educates Slovak children through theatrical and artistic methods. President Murmu also viewed an exhibition of paintings made by Slovak school children on various Indian themes. She also interacted with some of the young artists and appreciated them for beautifully capturing vibrant spirit and myriad colors on canvas. The Indian government's decision to end the transshipment facility for Bangladesh exports to third countries except Nepal and Bhutan via Indian land and airports has had an immediate impact. From April 10, the Petropol border, a key land port in West Bengal, has seen reduced activity with only existing goods allowed to be transshipped. Clearing and forwarding agents are concerned about the negative effect on Bangladesh's trade, as using Indian land was logistically and financially efficient. The policy change could lead to higher transportation costs, longer delivery times, and disrupted supply chains. This has raised concerns about the broader impact on Bangladesh's export industry, which relies heavily on these routes for cost-effective shipments to global markets. Bangladesh will not face any problems due to the cancellation of a transshipment facility by India, said Sheikh Bashir Uddin, Commerce Advisor of Bangladesh, on Thursday. He said efforts will be made to overcome the crisis through Bangladesh's own management and commercial capacity will be enhanced. The Commerce Advisor made these remarks while responding to questions from journalists at the Secretariat in Dhaka on Thursday. He said that all necessary steps being taken to ensure that Bangladesh's own capacity and competitiveness is not hampered and that Bangladesh's exports continue without any logistical disruptions. Meanwhile, 4 Bangladeshi trucks carrying goods were sent back from Benapole port on Wednesday evening as India revoked the transshipment facility granted to Bangladesh, which allowed goods to be exported from Bangladesh to third countries via Indian land ports. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman co-chaired the 13th India-UK Economic and Financial Dialogue with her British counterpart Chancellor Rachel Reeves in London on Wednesday. India and UK reaffirmed their commitment to continue collaboration in financial services sector, fintech and digital economy and between the respective regulatory bodies. The two sides also agreed to collaborate at bilateral and multilateral fora to address mutual and global economic issues. The dialogue concluded with adoption of a joint statement by Finance Minister of India and Chancellor of Exchequer of United Kingdom. Both sides look forward to furthering the bilateral relations and continuing negotiations at pace towards a mutually beneficial free trade agreement and bilateral investment treaty. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh participated in the annual day celebration of the Defence Staff Training College in southern India's Wellington this morning. Defence Minister Singh laid wreath at the Shaheed Smarak. In pursuit of the need to modernize and remain relevant for the future, Ministry of Defence has decided to observe year 2025 as the year of reforms. This would aim at transforming the armed forces into a technologically advanced combat-ready force capable of multi-domain integrated operations. Addressing the gathering, Rajnath Singh said 9 broad areas have been identified addressing the entire range of modernization imperatives to include defense acquisition and procedural reforms.
The start point has to be the development and the modernization of our armed forces. Technology today is not a support element but a decisive enabler of operations. Our armed forces must therefore not only keep pace with technological changes but also lead it. The need for us is to develop low-cost, high-tech solutions and enhance the fighting capability of the armed forces. In order to remain capable and relevant for future wars, we need to vigorously pursue the transformation of our armed forces.
Several parts of India received rainfall in the wee hours of Thursday. In North India's Uttarakhand, Karnaprayag, Tharali and Tharali Deval, which were obstructed due to the overflowing of a seasonal river due to rains in Tharali of Chamoli district, have been smoothened. Vehicles were damaged in the incident. However, there are no reports of anyone getting injured in the incident. District Magistrate has appealed to the people of the district not to move in accident-prone areas in case of rain. Light rainfall brought relief to parts of Lucknow and Kanpur in North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, with the India Meteorological Department predicting partly cloudy skies and thunder showers are predicted for Thursday. While Delhi, Punjab and Haryana are expected to experience temporary relief from scorching heat wave, with light rainfall and thunderstorms forecasted for April 10 and 11. Meanwhile, tragedy struck eastern Indian state of Bihar as lightning strikes in 4 districts killed at least 19 people. Severe weather conditions including thunderstorms, hailstorms and lightning strikes have caused widespread devastation. District-wise, 5 fatalities have been reported in Begusarai, 5 in Darbhanga, 3 in Madhubani, 2 each in Saharsa and Samastipur, and 1 death each has been reported in Lakhisarai and Gaya due to lightning strikes. India, the land of diverse faiths and timeless traditions, is celebrating Mahavir Jayanti today, a day that marks the birth anniversary of Lord Mahavir, the 24th Tirthankar of Jainism. Our next report takes a closer look at the religious significance of this day and its relevance in today's world.
Mahavir Jayanti is one of the most auspicious festivals of the Jain community, commemorating the birth of Lord Mahavir, who was born in 599 BC in Kundagrama, present-day in Bihar. A spiritual reformer and profound thinker, Lord Mahavir propagated the path of non-violence, truth, celibacy, non-possessiveness and non-stealing, the 5 cardinal principles of Jainism. On this day, devotees visit temples, offer prayers and participate in Rath Yatras, carrying the idol of Lord Mahavir, accompanied by devotional songs and sermons. Many engage in acts of charity and selfless service, reflecting the teachings of the Tirthankara, who renounced worldly pleasures in pursuit of spiritual liberation.
As a Jain myself, I think I've grown up with the tenets of non-violence, ahimsa paramo dharma, and vairagya, which is non-attachment to the physical things in life. And these are the lessons that Lord Mahavir Swami, he taught us through his life. We celebrate those tenets, and I think not just the Jain community, but the entire world needs to understand and follow the tenets of non-violence, because that is what we need, considering whatever is going on around the world.
Lord Mahavir's message of ahimsa or non-violence resonates beyond religious boundaries and continues to inspire peace movements globally. In an era of growing unrest, his teachings offer a beacon of hope and ethical living. As India celebrates Mahavir Jayanti, the message of compassion and non-violence finds renewed relevance in today's world, a timeless tribute to a path of peace and purity. Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
On the occasion of Mahavir Jayanti, Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tributes to Lord Mahavir. The Prime Minister posted on X, We all bow to Lord Mahavir, who always emphasized on non-violence, truth and compassion. His ideals give strength to countless people all around the world. His teachings have been beautifully preserved and popularized by the Jain community. Inspired by Lord Mahavir, they have excelled in different walks of life and contributed to societal well-being. He further added that the government will always work to fulfill the vision of Lord Mahavir. The government last year conferred the status of classical language on Prakrit, a decision which received a lot of appreciation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a visit to Madhya Pradesh on Friday. In line with his commitment to carry forward India's cultural and spiritual heritage, the Prime Minister will visit Anandpur Dham in Ashoknagar district of Madhya Pradesh, and during this time he will visit and worship at Guruji Maharaj Temple. The Prime Minister will also visit the temple complex at Anandpur Dham.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is arriving on Friday at Sri Anandpur Dham, one of country's leading religious, spiritual and service institutions located in Ashoknagar, Madhya Pradesh. Here, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will offer flowers at Anand Sarovar located in the Sri Anandpur Dham complex. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be informed about the devotional and knowledge-related activities taking place in this dham as well as the service work being carried out. The Prime Minister will also visit the 4 temples located in Sri Anandpur Satsang Ashram complex. He will address the followers of this dham from India and abroad in the annual fair organized on Vaisakhi in a stage program in the huge Satsang hall. He will also take prasad in the langar spread over 315 hectares. The temple has modern Gaushala with over 500 cows, and agricultural activities are conducted under the Sri Anandpur Trust premises. The trust is running a charitable hospital in Sukhpur village. Schools in Sukhpur and Anandpur have various satsang centers across the country.
हमारे देश के प्रधानमंत्री पहली बार आनंदपुर में आ रहे हैं। हमारे आनंदपुर का भी इससे नाम बढ़ेगा, लोगों में जाएगा, इससे देश में भी जाएगा और विदेश में भी आनंदपुर का नाम बढ़ेगा। इससे बहुत बड़ी खुशी है, हमें भी है, आनंदपुर वासियों को भी है, महात्माओं को भी है, सभी को बहुत खुशी है इससे।
काफ़ी खुश हैं महात्मा लोग, जहाँ के जितने भी हमारे आनंदपुर के भाई हैं, महात्मा जी हैं, वो इस देख के बहुत खुश हैं कि प्रधानमंत्री जी आ रहे हैं, कि हमारे यहाँ आनंदपुर में आ रहे हैं। आसपास के लोग भी मैंने देखा काफ़ी उनके भी अच्छा उनके विचार है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी आ रहे हैं, बड़े खुश हैं।
During this time, Prime Minister will meet the head Guru Maharaj Ji of Sri Paramhans Advaita sect and other saints and will get information about the service projects of Sri Anandpur Dham. About 20,000 devotees will participate in Vaisakhi fair at the Dham. It is worth mentioning that Sri Anandpur Satsang Ashram is a major center of devotion and knowledge. The spiritual energy of the temples here and the natural beauty of Sri Anand Sarovar provide peace to the mind. Aditya Srivastav, DD India.
And still to come on DD India Newshour. In sports, inform Royal Challengers Bengaluru will take on Delhi Capitals in their IPL 2025 match in Bengaluru. French club Paris Saint-Germain defeat Aston Villa 3-1 at home in UEFA Champions League.
Goa, a food paradise, both steeped in historical culinary tradition and at the forefront of a modern-day food revolution that is fresher, more local, and more global than ever before. I'm embarking on a journey across the state to explore the very best of food here.
This is honestly my favorite way to eat an egg.
Break bread with some of Goa's most loved chefs and understand what food really means to communities here. Watch Postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
You're watching the India Newshour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. And stocks have rebounded strongly in the aftermath of US President Donald Trump's reversing his sweeping tariffs. Japan's benchmark Nikkei surged more than 9%. Auto giant Toyota's share price rose almost 10%, while rival Honda climbed more than 8% higher. While Taipei's 9.3% gain was its best rise on record, in Australia the ASX 200 jumped more than 6%. European stock markets rebounded sharply in early deals on Thursday. Frankfurt jumped more than 7% to almost a half hour into trading. Paris gained 7.3% and London surged 5.3% following rallies on Wall Street and in Asia. The surge echoes the jump overnight on Wall Street, which had one of its best days in history, with S&P 500 surging 9.5%. Dow index soared to close nearly 8% higher, while the Nasdaq rose 12.2% to notch its best day in 24 years. Indeed, India News, our time now for sport, and Barcelona will take a 4-goal advantage to Dortmund next Tuesday after an exceptional attacking performance inspired a memorable victory in the UEFA Champions League quarter-final first leg on Wednesday. Hansi Flick's Barca are a step away from reaching the semi-finals for the first time since 2019 and extended their unbeaten run to 23 matches. The 5-time winners took the lead against last year's runners-up through red-hot winger Rafinha before Lewandowski reached 40 goals for the season with his double. Barca, who last lifted the trophy in 2015, are aiming to seal a Final Four clash against Inter Milan or Bayern Munich. The second leg will take place in Dortmund, Germany on 16th of April. French club Paris Saint-Germain defeated Aston Villa 3-1 at home in another first-leg quarter-final at the Parc des Princes Stadium on Wednesday. PSG conceded first but rallied brilliantly to force 3 goals to down Aston. Following their triumph over Liverpool in round of 16, Luis Enrique's squad now find themselves well positioned to advance to the semi-finals for the second consecutive season. Villa, on the other hand, now face an uphill task to reach their first semi-final since their triumphant campaign in 1982, as they need to put up an exceptional performance in the return leg in Birmingham on Tuesday. Olympic Games are set to feature more quota places for women, as female athletes will be in the majority for the first time at the 2028 Los Angeles Summer Games. The International Olympic Committee confirmed that there would be 5,333 core quota spots for female athletes and 5,167 for men. The landmark announcement saw the women's football tournament expanded to 16 teams from 12, while the men's competition would shrink from 16 to 12. The IOC said the reason for the sharp increase in women's soccer teams was the rapidly growing popularity of women's team sports, especially in the United States. The International Olympic Committee announced on Wednesday that compound archery will be making its debut at the Los Angeles Olympics in 2028. The compound mixed team competition joins the 5 existing recurve events, bringing the total number of archery medals available to 6. It is the first time since archery's reintroduction to the Olympic Games in 1972 that a new bow style has been added to the competition. World Archery President Professor Dr. Rana also said that it's a monumental step forward for the sport and for the millions of compound archers worldwide who have long sought Olympic recognition. The Indian Premier League in-form Royal Challengers Bengaluru take on Delhi Capitals in a battle for supremacy at the Chinnaswamy Stadium on Thursday. Both teams have started their campaign on a positive note. RCB has won 3 of 4 matches, while DC has secured 3 straight victories, and RCB have enjoyed consistent contributors from Virat Kohli and Jitesh Sharma. Experienced left-arm spinner Krunal Pandya has exceeded expectations with the ball. Delhi, on the other hand, have a balanced squad. KL Rahul, Abhishek Porel and Faf du Plessis have provided explosive starts at the top, with Tristan Stubbs and Ashutosh Sharma have proven their mettle as reliable finishers. With Mitchell Stark and Akshar Patel spearheading the bowling attack, Bengaluru is poised for a high-octane encounter. Earlier this week, one of Australia's most promising test batters, Will Pucovski, announced his shock retirement from all formats of cricket at just 27. The decision brought a premature end to a career full of potential, yet repeatedly derailed by concussions. Let's take a look back at his brief but illustrious journey in the game.
Pucovski made his long-awaited test debut against India in January 2021 at the Sydney Cricket Ground. In that match, he scored a composed 62 in the first innings, showcasing the technical brilliance that had seen him dominate Australian domestic cricket. Pucovski scored 2,350 runs at an impressive average of 45.19, including 7 centuries, one of which was a mammoth 255 against South Australia in 2020. But behind the runs and accolades lay a difficult journey. Pucovski suffered more than a dozen concussions over the course of his short career. In a heartfelt statement, the Victorian cricketer said he had reached the point where he knew it was the right time to walk away. It's been a tough year. A lot of the symptoms didn't go away, which has led me to this decision. It's unfortunately gotten to a stage now where a year or so down the track, I'm still suffering. Still don't really have the answers I have been looking for in terms of why I'm still getting these symptoms. And it's come time to make this decision. The Cricket Australia acknowledged Pucovski's decision, noting the bravery it took to make the call and the lasting impact he has had despite his brief time in the spotlight. Sports Desk, DD India.
World number 1 Magnus Carlsen was the only player to record a win in the first game of the Paris Freestyle Chess Grand Slam quarterfinals on Wednesday, playing on white. The Norwegian Grandmaster defeated Uzbekistan's Nordibek in a one-sided affair. Russia's Iron equaled Carlsen's 8.5 points in the round-robin stage but topped the standings on tie-breaks. Arjun Erigesi played out a draw against Hikaru Nakamura on the opening day of the quarterfinals of the Freestyle Chess Grand Slam tournament in Paris. With Arjun being the only Indian left in the knockout stage of the freestyle tournament in Paris, all hopes were pinned on him as he faced Nakamura. And prepare for a glimpse into the future with these surreal visuals from Beijing, where humanoid robots are gearing up for the world's first ever humanoid robot half marathon on April 19. Watch as these machines flex their athleticism and take robotic endurance to the next level. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platform, and you can also scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.